So Austin, I hear you have some thoughts about sand.
Yeah, of course. It's irritating.
No,
it gets everywhere.
You can't do that.
So Sean is currently using a mic stand. So we have Rode microphones that are very nice.
Wait, don't put me on the spot.
They're Rode microphones.
I
Very
agree.
nice,
It is his fault.
but they're very heavy. They weigh like 2.5 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And I paired those with Amazon Basics microphone stands that are not very good at holding up 1 pound, let alone 2.5 pounds. So I started looking into sandbags on Amazon to put, because that's what you use for lighting if you're doing
like movie
photography
sets and
or
stuff.
yeah. And these fuckers, it says in the description on Amazon,
So by the pound.
yeah, it's like, these are 5 pounds. And then I'm like, cool. And then I go to look at them, and it's just a cloth bag with a plastic bag inside.
That you fill yourself?
You have to buy the sand separately. So, like...
Oh, it's a 5-pound bag. It doesn't weigh 5 pounds.
It holds 5 pounds, but I also have to buy 5 pounds of sand.
Get your own sand. Yeah, I mean...
And that...
Sand's everywhere, man. You just gotta start...
Yeah, it's just a day trip to the beach.
The same thing happened. I was looking for a new pillow, and they were like, here's the...
Oh, that's like that all the time, where it's just cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not a pillowcase. It's a pillow lining. You have to buy the memory foam separately. And then they sell bags of shredded foam.
That's how they get you.
And then because I was looking at that, I also found stuffed animals that you have to fill yourself, which is...
That's just work.
Hilarious.
I got sand for you if you need it.
Yeah?
Yeah, because you know that umbrella that's on my deck?
Oh, I really thought this was going to be a setup for like a joke.
No, literally. If you need sand, okay, ready?
It's in his pockets right now.
What
He's like,
perverse way are you going to twist sand and make it into a joke?
You guys got to get your mind out of the gutter, you know? There's a conversation about sand and sand alone. No, that umbrella, it required 200 pounds of sand, and they
200?
And they're sold in 50-pound bags, and my parents also had a little bit of extra, so it's like I got literally just a bucket of sand in the shed.
Cool.
Listen,
Your
if you need
parents
sand,
brought...
I know a guy.
Yeah.
Sitting right next to me.
Your parents brought extra sand to the party?
And also, if you need a truck, I know a guy.
A truck?
Yeah, to transport the sand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know a guy too. His name's Lowe's.
I need a truck full of sand.
Does the truck come with gas, or you got to find that yourself?
Yeah, no, you got to buy that and fill it yourself as well. So
I don't know. I just thought it's like, you look on Amazon and they're like, Amazon, you're like, here's a 4-pack of sandbags. And you're like, they're like $25. And you're like, okay, that's not the worst price. And then you're like, wait, it's 4 cloth bags. That's not...
How much do you think it would cost to ship for? Well,
you cut up a T-shirt and lined it with plastic, and you're charging me $25.
The stuffed animal thing is funny because like Build-A-Bear's a thing, but when there's like supposed to be a sense of wonder when you go there, not just like an incomplete product.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start a Build-A-Bear workshop, but for sandbags.
Build-A-Sand?
Yeah, you can get like a Darth Vader sandbag. And fill it with there's a sand machine in the back, and you ever do Build-A-Bear?
Oh my god, like so long ago?
It's horrifying.
I've never done it before.
They're like, what do you want to do? And you're like, I want to make like, because the time I did a Build-A-Bear was I got a Flyers bear wearing like a Flyers jersey and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, so I was old. I wasn't a kid. I was like maybe 18, 19. And you just get this deflated sack bear, and then they just put a
skin
metal
sack.
tube up its asshole.
Yeah.
And just fill it with the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a horrifying experience. I can't imagine being a kid and having fun.
They're like, do you want it to make noise? And they stick like a little microchip in its foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they do that first.
Now,
so
do you want it to
screams when you
feel?
fill it with...
Do you want it to feel? They take a human heart and stick it in the center.
Yeah. Do you want it?
All right, so I think I feel comfortable saying after the past few years that we've earned our place here in speaking about the near endless industry-related controversies surrounding the use of in-game violence, whether it be a part of the mechanics or narrative. Thing is, though, it almost always seems to tell a similar story with a similar outcome. It typically revolves around the glorification of guns and freedom of choice in open-world crime titles, etc., etc. It's tired. Our opinions of that stuff pretty well known at this point. We often try to approach the topic with thoughtful analysis and deconstruction through intention as well as context, although sometimes there are other instances where all you can really do is just fucking laugh. Issues that get reported on that are so goddamn outlandish that the only meaningful response from every sane party involved is either to mock it or become embarrassed by it. A notable example of this happened back in '05, and no, I'm not referring to previous subject, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, despite that too being crazy overblown. Of course, there you could sort of see how shit went down. This was on a much more specific type of backlash, one that we, until recently, have never discussed before, and one we likely won't ever again. I'm talking cannibalism. Are video games teaching your kids to eat each other? Let's find out. This is Hot Button, continuing on with our 2021 Halloween series. I'm Randall Beatrice, here with Austin Blakesley, Sean Chambers,
You.
and Matt Nudeboom.
Zug.
Welcome back.
I forgot to do my Halloween intro. Ooh.
I mean, yeah. Like that thing you hang up outside your house.
Everybody eat lunch?
Yeah, I had Taco
hungry.
Bell,
I had McDonald's.
All right.
which is the furthest thing from actual meat you can get without getting into vegetarian food.
So yeah, it goes without saying that today is going to be a bit on the sillier side. I thought it would be a good palate cleanser in between our first and third, more heavier episodes. As fascinating as they are, and as jokey as we can make them. Plus, this will be a shorter ep. A bite-sized one, if you will.
Nice.
Like eating people. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, you're making me so mad with those bad jokes. I want to eat your face off.
You guys ready?
Yeah, hold on. Let me just hold on. I just got to take my bath salts right now.
Yeah.
Just like get ready, really in the mood for this.
No, Matt.
Oh.
Rookie move. I understand you're new to this. You have to take the bath salts at least 30 to 45 minutes before the episode starts.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably going to kick in right when everything's finishing.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to have to deal with your angry ass.
You mean the man that sold them to me was lying to me? He said they would kick in quick.
So on November 29th, 2005, ironically following Thanksgiving, an advocacy group known as the National Institute on Media and the Family released a
Nymph.
yes released a quote 12 games to avoid list.
Okay, so
While drawing attention to the adult content featured in them.
I'm going to Google this.
Don't Google it.
No. Just because I think I hate them.
I mean, I'm gonna get into them. So
Okay, you can go. They're
right.
very conservative.
I just want to say the second any sort of advocacy group has the word family in it, like they're a family advocacy, you know it's just a bunch of pearl clutchers. You know whatever they're talking about is way below it. It's like, oh, the family, okay. You aren't personally offended, but heaven forbid someone think of the children.
Yeah. And many of the stuff like on this list were of the typical ilk that we've seen before. Over, a pair in particular stood out among the rest. Before we get into that, though, what you say we dig a little deeper into the origins of where exactly these overprotective clowns came from?
Mm-hmm.
These nymphs, as
Nymphs.
You got addresses?
Well, they were a nonprofit founded by psychologist and writer David Walsh in 1996. They were based out of Minneapolis, and their mission was to, quote, monitor mass media for content that was deemed harmful to children and families.
If only there was, like, a bunch of industry groups that already did this. Like, I don't know, like, I'm thinking, like, they could give, like, movies ratings, telling parents not to bring their kids to it, or, like, games ratings or like a label on an album that says like, hey, parental advisory, just off the top of my head, parental advisory, don't buy this for your children.
No, they were the first. This is totally original.
Okay, yeah.
See, the problem with that solution is then the parents have to spend time actually learning about the stuff they buy their children. It would be much better if they could just buy anything off the shelf, throw them in front of a TV, and then never have to deal with them ever again. Okay, these people care. These people just want to prevent their children from viewing violent behavior. They actually hate their children. They don't want to spend any amount of time with them.
That sounds like conservatives.
So they categorized themselves as I got another quote. I think this was on their website. As an international resource center for cutting edge research and information.
Is that long form for huge assholes? Time wasters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this last part is just like it's a
Little life,
straight up lie.
little life lesson for. I'm sure everybody in the room knows this, maybe, but for our listeners out there, if any organization has the term institute in their name, they're assholes. So you're right. They're conservative assholes who want you to think they're doing research when they're really just pearl clutching, like Matt
Yeah,
said.
they're pro clutching.
Yeah.
That makes sense because I went to Stevens Institute and they were the biggest assholes of all. Nah, just joking. I like you, Stevens.
Mr. Steven himself is listening. Now, as Austin has mentioned, they were obviously not the earliest nor the last organization that aimed to do this, but they were vocal. They had their own community outreach arm with staff and sponsors who would speak at various educational and religious meetups across the country, Walsh himself often attending. They would publish annual, quote, video game report cards that detailed the marketing, distribution, and impact of games in relation to minors. This, of course, leading to their open criticism of the ESRB, giving them grades in regards to how they perceived their regulation efforts were going. In their packets, they periodically could have a decent note here and there, such as the scarcity and pointlessness of the adults-only rating, although the majority of their complaints were usually woefully unfounded. So much so that even the U.S.'s National Parent-Teacher Association denounced their assessments, claiming that they did not support or endorse them or their erroneous reporting. With that in mind, let's get to the naughty list. Now, I'll save those two biggies for last, but here's what else we've got compiled with them.
How many games was this? 12?
12.
12 games to avoid or with your children or whatever
Yeah.
it's called? Okay.
That they felt the adult materials in them went too far.
Ooh.
So-
So the 12 games of Nymphmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that song. So they're horrible at what they do. Because here's the thing. I don't care if your kids play Grand Theft Auto. As long as you're a good parent and explain, it's fine. They only found 12?
Yeah, that seems...
Actually, yeah.
Low.
So it does, doesn't it? And it's
And what year is this? 2005?
2005. But I think this was
Okay.
only for that window of like 2 years. Or
Still.
just for 2005. But
I played video games for most of my life. I could probably name off the top of my head more than 12 violent games that came out in 2004 and 2005.
yeah. And it could, well, that's the thing. Once I run through these, they're going to seemingly almost appear random when you consider what was left out.
Like they went into a Target and went, that looks violent.
Yes,
That looks violent.
exactly.
That looks
Yeah.
violent. Yeah.
All right.
So there was Far Cry 1,
Mhm.
presumably for violence.
It's going to get so much worse, guys. I hate to break it to you.
Same with a couple other entries such as Doom 3.
Okay. Satan. Makes sense.
There was also a focus on titles with settings themed on like gang violence, rebellion and social uprising against the man.
Oh, no.
Can you think of any games in 2004, 2005 that had gang violence in them? I can't think of any.
Well, there was, you had Rockstar's The Warriors.
Okay.
Sick. Urban Rain Riot Response, which Austin, didn't we actually play that just
Wait,
recently?
Urban Chaos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, wait, it says Urban Rain. I wonder if it's called...
Oh, no, wait.
They-
Urban Rain is a Namco game? Urban Rain.
Of the 12, this was the one I was the least familiar.
Okay, hold on.
with,
Urban Rain, I think you combine two names, because Urban Rain...
No, this is their list, unless... If there were two names combined, that's on them.
I can see them getting easily confused.
Yeah. Either...
it has to be Urban Rain...
Which one was that dope shooter made by the Arkham guys?
That was Urban Chaos.
Okay. This wasn't
Maybe
that.
it's a typo. It's either Urban Rain or Urban Chaos, but I think Urban Chaos came out in 2006?
No, that couldn't have been it, because this is...
Maybe Urban Rain is the follow-up where after you've brought down society, now you're like ruling society, and slowly as you try and rebuild society in your image, you become the very thing you wanted to hate and tear down before. It's got a very deep message.
Urban Chaos Riot Response was released in June 2006, so it's probably Urban Rain.
Oh, okay.
which was a beat 'em up made by Namco and developed by the Soul Calibur team. Apparently, I did not know.
Oh
that
shit!
existed.
Well, we gotta find that. All right, sorry. I read Urban Reign, but I did flip because Urban Chaos. That was still that gen though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
PS2, Xbox.
So that
Also, all y'all out there, if you still got an Xbox or a PS2, and you want a really fun, ridiculous first-person shooter,
yeah.
made by people with a pedigree, because it's Rocksteady. That game fucking rules.
It's pretty
and
awesome.
It's so politically incorrect.
Yeah. Yes.
In this day and age,
is.
but it's God.
That packaged well with the
Hilarious.
fucking Narc reboot that we looked
Mhm.
at. But moving on, we have True Crime New York City was on there. A damn disappointing sequel with an absolutely killer soundtrack.
Yeah, it does.
And those former two, I believe you are in the role of a cop, by the way. I mean, I know you are in New York, in True Crime New York City,
yeah.
but I don't know about Urban Reign. The cover had a dude in riot gear, so I thought, but
Doom 3 is a surprising inclusion, specifically because you kill demons in that. If you really think about it, the violence is against, like,
right.
sin. It's
No,
like...
the ultimate violence against sin is prayer.
Not
So you're not shooting guns. You're
chainsaws
shooting
and
guns in
shotguns.
this.
Yeah.
You can't be, not fight violence with violence. You have to
Does
pray it
that-
away.
Is that a thing?
What?
Did anybody make a Doom mod where you're a priest and you just bless them instead of
Yeah,
shooting
just
at
splash
them?
holy water on them.
I mean,
Yeah.
there was already the Super Noah's Ark 3D, or
That's what that was.
yeah.
No, that was
no, that was you putting animals to sleep with food to get them on the Ark.
They get them on the Ark, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was a Wolfenstein mod.
Oh yeah,
Right,
that
yeah.
and Shek's Quest, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So next in fellow fashion is Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. No San An on here. I guess they thought that was already covered. God of War, that had the gore and the sex.
Yeah.
and heathenism. 'Cause it's about Greek mythology.
That's true.
The comedic foul-mouthed but somehow less profanity-filled than the N64 original, Conker's Live and Reloaded
Okay.
remake.
There's poop, talking poop,
Singing poop.
bringing poop.
This spot stuck out to me a little. Blitz the League. Gonna say that had to be due to the football players juicing on steroids and hiring sex workers.
It's also like the
prostitutes.
This game is vulgar.
What a game! Like,
Yeah.
and didn't that also have like Mortal Kombat style X-rays when you tackled people? You could see like them get head injuries.
I may have
and
told this story on the
their
podcast
testicles
before,
shatter and stuff.
but those of you that don't know, Blitz the League was made after every other person besides EA lost the NFL license.
Yeah.
And so 2K's response to that was to just stop making football games. And I guess this would have been a claim at the time. Made Blitz the League?
Was it?
I
thought
feel
it
like you're right.
Well, I thought it was THQ.
Might have been THQ.
Because didn't that come up on our? I think
But,
it was THQ.
Their response was to make a satire of the NFL where all of you had to stop your players from doing drugs and hiring prostitutes, and then if a player got hurt, you could choose to bench them or inject them full of steroids to keep them going. It is such a good satire of such a shitty
That
league.
sounds
It's
like
hilarious.
entertainment right
Yeah.
there, yeah.
These developers, it sounds like they came up with this idea after like a long cocaine binge. So, a little comical there.
So this is where it gets weird because that was 9. 10, interestingly enough, is Resident Evil 4. Like I know the enemies maybe don't attempt to devour you as much as the prior outings, but it's Resident Evil, probably the most cannibal-infused franchise in all of gaming.
Yeah.
I don't know. These losers probably just didn't play enough of it.
Are zombies eating people cannibalism?
Yeah, I also
we'll
had
get
this
there.
Okay.
Glad
I
you
guess.
asked.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
I'm glad you asked that question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because our main meat shows human flesh getting munched on literally in the opening cutscenes. I'm talking about 2 titles near and dear to my heart, especially as a, hungry 16-year-old. F.E.A.R. or First Encounter Assault Recon,
I want to go back a second.
if you want to get slicker
What did you
about
mean by hungry 16?
Yeah, I
was a chubby kid.
Okay.
hungry for...
Still didn't answer my question.
Yeah, we're talking...
Did you, in high school, did you or did you not eat human flesh is what we're getting at.
Yeah.
And then Stubbs the zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse.
What a game.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Them both rounding out the Dirty Dozen. They also curiously left out tons of other popular qualifiers from '05. That'd be fitting.
Like San Andreas?
Released that year. No, San Andreas was '04 first on PS2, right? Like the end, and then '05 is
I thought you said it was 2 years, though.
Well, that Far Cry 1 came out in '04,
That's what I'm saying.
but I don't know if any other game did in that.
Is that maybe they're
wait a
talking
minute.
about Far Cry
I bet they're talking
Instincts.
about the Xbox port of Far Cry.
Far Cry Instincts.
Oh, that was Instincts.
Yeah.
All right. Because
That was 05.
okay. Yeah, everything else on here it was 2005.
Because Far Cry Instincts was one of those games that was cross-gen. It was on Xbox
They
and then
put out
later on
360
360.
version, yeah.
See, the only qualifier for these games is these are the ones that they saw their children play. They didn't actually do any other research. They just went through their kids' library and was like, this looks violent.
But you could make the argument that they forgot The Getaway, the Punisher game.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Mortal Kombat Deceptions or Shaolin Monks. They were both 05. No SWAT 4, no Raises Hell, no Killer 7, despite that getting some controversy, as well as Indigo Prophecy.
Oh, yeah.
No Fatal Frame 3. Not even Condemned Criminal Origins. Which, like, yeah.
Yeah, these people's kids were so lame. They're like fake gamers. They're playing
They're
all
playing
the, like,
Urban Reign.
Yeah. You're listening to all the good shit, and I'm glad they didn't go after that because leave it alone. It's all you've named like 4 great games in a row.
The National Institute on Media and the Family, were bizarrely selective. But what statement did they have to go with this? Most importantly, what exactly made F.E.A.R and Stubbs sit in a separate league of their own? It's, quote, something we've never seen before, said President Walsh. That games are more extreme and more easily available to underage kids than ever, which neither is true. I doubt he ever sat down with the F&V stuff of the 90s, right?
Yeah.
That shit is way more brutal than anything on this list. He then goes on to call out our dual topics of choice above the rest in reference to the personal research that their org did when they discovered gameplay footage of our favorite traveling salesman turned undead protagonist chowing down on some small town citizens' brains, along with the opening cinematic. It's like the first cutscene of F.E.A.R's campaign, where psychic antagonist Paxton Fettel slashes a security officer's throat while then after consuming pieces of the corpse.
I like to imagine personal research is just him standing in his living room, in his kitchen, staring in his living room, like peering around a wall, watching his kid play from like 20 feet away and just like, stalking on his kid.
Cause it's funny because Stubbs kicks off too. Like, isn't it like the couple's eating like a hot dog and he just comes through and he just immediately bites the kid's head. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we're talking like less than 90 seconds into these. Like, I don't know how much, like they use the word research and it's like.
No, yeah, I think Sean's definition of research, he definitely had like a little notepad by him, like written stuff.
Oh, don't like that.
He's got a pair of binoculars and he's like.
Yeah.
No, it's the same thing of like, they just read about it and then look up videos. It's like that famous Fox News video.
With the Mass Effect one? Yeah.
It's like, Mass Effect is a sex simulator. And Jeff Keighley's like, no, it's not. What are you
talking about?
Yeah, I was just thinking about I was just trying to think like how much of this content that they found could be found in a trailer and just in like a 1 minute long.
You're right. Absolutely.
I mean, Stubbs' trailer definitely has cannibalism, and big air quotes there in it, because it's a fucking zombie game.
Yeah, it's like a what do you call it, Night Trap, when the director asked which congressman was like, well, have you actually played the game? He's like, I don't need to. It's well, no, you kind of do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sucks because like those types of exchanges are still happening. Like it
is bizarre how it's like, it seems like people never really learn that it's just like, if you hear about something controversial and you just immediately don't like it, it's like, well, maybe investigate it real quick and see if the claims are true. It's like,
no, it's smut.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
A thing I do find humorous between these two samples is the drastic divide in tone between them.
Yeah.
For those who may not be familiar, Stubbs the Zombie is a colorful, campy, third-person action game set in an alternate 1950s rural America, except dressed with a retro sci-fi aesthetic.
In a town called Punch Bowl. Yeah.
Is that true?
Punch Bowl.
Yeah, that's what the name of the town in Stubbs is.
It runs on the Halo engine and has couch co-op for any of you Randalls out there. The bloody combat is super over the top to the degree of parody. Not to mention its cutesy album of licensed music, hosting several indie alternative bands from the 2000s, covering various pop music of the era.
You can just say it.
It's fucking wonderful and everyone should listen to
the
it.
best game soundtrack ever made.
I stand by it.
Yeah.
I remember it has Lollipop on it.
Yeah.
Is it Mr. What do you call
Yeah,
it?
Mr. Sandman,
Mr. Sandman.
Earth Angel.
Oh, it's got everything.
Yeah, by Death Cab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Oh, I gotta listen to this,
My
yeah.
Boyfriend's Back by the Ravenettes.
The Ravenettes. Yeah.
Who's
that's my favorite.
Mr. Sandman is...
I think it's Oranger.
Oranger.
Because there's also Rogue Wave does Buddy Holly.
No, they did Every Day.
Yeah, Every Day was a Buddy Holly song.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, you were thinking of the Wii.
I'm dumb. Continue.
If they would have just given this game a shot and listened to the soundtrack, it would have taken them back to their younger days. And then maybe they could see past all of the cartoonish, very fake
Right?
and like fantasy world of zombies eating people.
Who did Lollipop?
Shoot, I forgot. I
Mm.
think it was a solo artist. But yeah, I know like Flaming Lips are on there.
They did If I Only Had a Brain.
Yeah, who was the I know now we're just running through this whole thing.
Yeah.
Clem Snide. Who was the I think the Walkman, and then
Mhm.
what was the band that Jason Schwartzman used to? Phantom Planet. I couldn't
Phantom
remember.
Planet, yeah.
But all of this contrasted against F.E.A.R, a first-person horror shooter that primarily takes place in now near future, dingy facilities loaded with oppressive soldiers and psychological visions of the twisted paranormal. There's intense shootouts inspired by the John Woo classic Hard Boiled, while the creepier imagery came from the likes of Japanese cinema. It's fast, fun as fuck, and occasionally very terrifying.
Love Fear.
Yeah, F.E.A.R
Distant
rules.
future, the year 2000.
Well, actually, no. Yeah, F.E.A.R takes place in 2022.
Oh shit, that's next year.
Yeah.
We're only a couple months away, you guys. We gotta stop recording, go get ready.
Yeah, these releases couldn't be further from each other in terms of vision. In fact, they really shared in common was the inclusion of characters that ate people.
Yeah, people eating people.
A very
business.
common horror thing.
Yeah,
Like, really, the only thing they share in common is that they're both horror fiction.
it makes no fucking sense why Resident Evil wasn't lumped in with those two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
no, absolutely.
As somebody who played both, Resident Evil 4 features way more people eating than Stubbs the Zombie does.
Yeah.
Well, Stubbs the Zombie, you're chomping on heads to get, like, you're eating brains.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you're commanding them and stuff. So
Them
it's like...
sweet, juicy brains. Yeah.
What do like the waivers they give out in like in church? I don't know. Never been. So, but the wafers, what is it supposed to?
Oh, Jesus?
Yeah. What is that supposed to?
Body of Christ?
So
don't,
you're
don't
almost
look at me. I have no
you're
idea.
almost kind of like
Eating the body of Christ?
eating Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Only they could have spun that.
Do I smell some hypocrisy? Yeah.
Hypocrisy and conservative think? I don't think so.
Well, that's like you said, Austin. We know for certain that these were not the earliest examples of it being an element of a game's plot. Look at I Have No Mouth that we dug into last week. At least in Stubbs, you are assuming the role of a quote-unquote cannibal, I guess. Because, like, the thing was, this made for, like, bullet points that weren't found in previous attacks on gaming.
Right.
Honestly, the biggest factor in this crusade is that it wasn't commonplace
Yeah.
in the medium.
Listen, zombies gotta eat too. Are they advocating for zombie starvation?
like you said, it wasn't horror, but I guess not on a wider scale. I don't know. And I mean, why would it be? So to Walsh, the cannibal angle he spun was new. Parents and politicians were only periodically invested in the war on game violence when it got the right platform boost. Otherwise, it was travel ground. What would ring louder to the masses than the moral panic than this?
You know what? I got to give him credit. It is actually kind of clever. Lots of people have beat on the violence drum, but
Yeah.
you're right. Cannibalism was a new one. I didn't really. It was just like
Uncharted territory.
And
Yeah.
it was taboo, but not too taboo. And
That's true.
it was dumb enough that the headline would grow. It was perfect.
Yeah, this is true.
When you think about it.
Human flesh is a sometimes treat, you know? It's like not too taboo.
And you know what? It worked. Hot Button alumni and Democratic Center of Connecticut, as well as infamous wet blanket, Mr. Joseph Lieberman, was the first to comment on the matter.
Douche.
Even speaking in solidarity with the Institute's officials at an upcoming press conference to spread the awareness, stating, quote, "It's just the worst kind of message to kids, and they can be dangerous to children's health." Both clumsy rhetorics that we have had to time and time again say isn't true.
I feel like, you know what? You guys are going to eventually get enough content that people are going to, like, even though it's a serialized format, they're going to start doing, like, the deep lore of Hot Button be like, Lieberman was mentioned on this. Like, you guys are building a cast of characters that you guys that you just bring.
Yeah, we need, like, a wiki.
Yeah.
So his talking points go on to be more contrived and rote. The single standout being that he supposedly wasn't a fan of the red blood splattering on the screen in Stubbs. I bet.
Wow, just that game, though. Not all the other games where blood comes on the screen.
Clips of what else was on the list were then shown to attendees, including a rampage in true crime, which, a tad of a strange pull since they're doing that is the opposite of what you're told to do in that game. Like, you actively get punished for it. In the true crime games?
Oh, yeah, correct, yeah.
They're not like built even for the same type of chaos that Grand Theft Auto is.
That is, you know what? That's actually 100% good point. You are actively punished for being a bad cop.
Well, it's a very common in these research groups when it comes to video games. It's very common that these groups are built around the idea of kids being exposed to fiction, and it's very surface level. And so when it comes to video games, a lot of them are used to like coming after songs and coming after movies, which you all experience the same way. They very often leave player agency out of it entirely. It's the same thing with the Mass Effect thing. It's the same thing with all of the controversy that GTA has gotten.
Yeah.
It's like these games are just sandboxes that allow you to do whatever you want, good or bad, and then they levy punishment against you accordingly.
Yes. I mentioned this in a previous episode, but I think the one redeeming joke in the Postal series is that the tasks that you are given are mundane and innocent. So it's like all of the like running around peeing on people and blowing everyone up. You're not told to do that. You're instructed to go to like the grocery store and get milk. Like,
yeah.
What game was this?
Postal.
I've never played.
At least 1 and 2. You know.
No, Postal 3 is a nightmare.
Yeah.
So actually,
2 specifically.
I actually didn't know that. That actually makes it like. That almost makes it into an artistic statement where it's like the game is just about doing mundane shit. It's the players who...
You're the sick
you're falling down, where it's like, all you got to do is just go to work and do your regular task. And it's like, but people are so annoying, and here's a shotgun in case you want to get rid of them. Get them out of your way.
Exactly.
So wait, the true crime game, you're punished for inciting like mass murder.
Well, you're
a
police officer,
right?
So if you start killing civilians, innocent people. When I say it's not built for it, it's like you can steal any. Well, if you're not stealing, you're taking
you're
commandeering. You can commandeer any vehicle, and because it's still a has guns in it, you can shoot whoever.
Right.
But by doing that, it drastically drops your like internal moral like point levels so low that actually can fuck up your progression of the story.
Yeah,
it sounds like that game could be repurposed as a teaching tool for cops these days.
I was actually gonna crack.
If only real cops had a moral point keeper thing.
I was gonna crack a joke that'd be like, okay, so these people are against violent cops. It's like well,
I guess we are too. I don't know what the
where are all the nymphs over cop violence these days? Yeah.
No, they stand behind the boys in blue when it comes to.
But no, yeah. So I will just say actually, so for True Crime, I specifically remember I didn't play the sequel, but the first one.
First one's great.
It's really a linear slider, so it's either you're either 0 to 100 good or 0 to 100 bad.
Yeah, two had the same system.
And the thing is, in order to get good cop points, it's actually quite difficult because you basically need to chase down. You need to solve crimes.
You respond to like calls while you're
and you need. And the thing is like there's no quick shortcut to end these crimes. You need to chase them. take them down and arrest them, and that's 1 point. But if you just drive down a sidewalk and hit 5 people, that's -5 points. So it's very quick to drop that bar to the lowest possible. And the punishment is that, as Randy mentioned, if you don't have a certain amount of good karma by the time you get to certain branching points in the game, you get the bad endings. Literally, you get the bad endings. So it's like you do need to, and it's like it's work.
You don't
so
even get
it's like,
rewarded for like shooting criminals and like half the stuff that
you need
you're
to arrest
called,
them. You can't kill them.
respond
Yeah.
to.
So,
The more I learn about this game, the more funny it is. And, yeah.
I don't know if I'd have the patience to do it these days, because in high school I was like very thorough, but it's like
Hey,
it's
all the
very-
branching paths of that initial game were
Yeah,
pretty,
it's
rad.
it's tough. It's
Yeah,
tough.
it turns out being a moral gatekeeper for your community is a little bit of a rough job, and maybe we shouldn't give it to everybody. I'm done.
And when other cops come and shoot you, they take you down fucking fast. So,
Yeah.
so they also aired a brawl in the Warriors. That was presented. So not all the hate was on our ravenous buddies, even though they had the heaviest emphasis. Soon after the meeting, a level-headed Hal Halpin,
Cool name. Call him HH for short. Also, The Warriors, it's based on a movie.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
From like the
It's canonical.
70s, right? Or 80s?
I think 80s. It strikes me as very early 80s.
Yeah.
But sorry, I labeled him as being level-headed. That won't be the case for too long. But
I assume.
for right now. So he was the runner of the Interactive Entertainment Merchant Association trade group. And he defended the products under fire and stated the obvious, that everything on their picks was already rated M.
The IEMA, by the way,
Yeah.
became the ESA.
Yes.
You can check out
We did a whole...
a whole 3-parter on that.
I think
The formation of the ESA.
it might have just been 2.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well,
Yeah,
But
but another good point
and I
that
think
I was
this
just
guy
I was
came
gonna
up
mention is like, aren't these all M-rated games anyways?
yes.
Yes.
And are therefore are not able to be sold to minors younger than 17 at practically every store outlet. Downloading them without supervision wasn't an option yet. He didn't even totally disparage the content itself. He just said, quote, "It's not appropriate for kids, and it is clearly labeled that way. There are R-rated movies and DVDs." So yeah,
What's the problem?
yeah, he spoke up
Idiots.
so the ESRB didn't have to deal with it. Well, not yet. Not that it was outside of his duties, but still decent of him to do, because they'll have infinitely bigger fish to fry in a few months when the hot coffee happens.
Yeah.
So he was helpful to them initially, and I'll return to that in a sec. Whatever. The Institute did shoot back with a secret shopper survey claiming that 44% of the child buyers that were used were allowed to purchase mature stamped titles, an increase from their 2007 study. Halpin then replied with how that 56% is much higher than other contemporary media formats, and that it was 3 times the number that it was in 2000, just 5 years ago. He also added the acknowledgement that further improvements needed to be done to ensure retailers were committed to enforcing the age restriction guidelines, and they seriously did. I'm fucking in my 30s and still get carded for games sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real sad when that stops. But this wasn't enough for him, though, as he later called the Entertainment Software Board, quote, broken beyond repair. Don't know where that fucking came from. I vehemently disagree with that. The best reason I could find was that he apparently had a plan to organize a summit in 2006 in an effort to create a replacement rating system under his company.
Oh, dude, this
Like,
dude's
Under
such a
the
boner.
IEMA.
Yes.
God, leave it alone.
Yeah, good luck, guy. And also, like, quite the sharp turn from him being cool to having your own, like, manipulative agenda.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he wasn't wrong in his evaluation that games as an art form were beginning to give bolder and more provocative experiences to enthusiasts than ever before, thus increasing the levels of adult materials such as violence, swearing, sex, gambling, or drug use. This in tandem with the continuous evolution of technology and, rendering things just more realistically. His mission to defuse the situation in the short term until his reign over ratings could be achieved, I guess.
His evil master plan.
Yeah, unfortunately fell apart when 36 goddamn news organizations across the US and Canada broadcasted the ridiculous notion out to the greater public. Now, parents everywhere would know what was truly going on in these blasted video games. How could you resist clicking on an article that begins with the word cannibalism in bold text?
You can't. It's impossible.
Put it in front of me right now. I bet you I can resist.
Luckily, the response from readers wasn't too aggressive. However, the influx of concerned emails did lead to the Stubbs developer team at Wideload to publish a cheeky statement of their own beneath the phrase, setting the record straight, for which I will go through verbatim.
Yeah, I'm interested in hearing this.
Man, what a waste of time. These poor video game developers having to issue a statement to the public about their very unrealistic game and how it doesn't portray very realistic, life situations.
Yeah, and good on these guys. This is before the era of cheeky Twitter accounts responding
Yeah,
to customers. So it's like, all right, they actually did it before like companies discovered it was safe to do.
Yeah.
Here we go. The current kerfluffle in the U.S. media about Stubbs the zombie can be summed up in one word: semantics. Stubbs, they say, is a cannibal. This is nonsense. As anyone with a working knowledge of cannibals can tell you, Stubbs fails all the classic litmus tests for cannibalism. He does not wear a bone through the nose. He does not help FBI agents track down serial killers. He has not written a cookbook. He is not named Jeffrey Dahmer. The list goes on and on. Stubbs is a zombie. Thus the title Stubbs the Zombie. Zombies eat brains. That's what they do. Stubbs cannot just saunter into the cafeteria and order a plate of freedom fries. He has to fight for his meals. In fact, actual cannibals only make it harder for Stubbs to eat, which is why this cannibalism story is insulting as well as injurious. There's no surprise that the all-human media cartel resorts to distortions and name-calling. Their anti-zombie bias has been evident for decades, and Stubbs is just the newest target. If you're a thinking adult, you're probably ready to hear the other side of the story. You'll find it in Stubbs the Zombie in A Rebel Without a Pulse, in stores now for Xbox, PC, and Macintosh. Don't let the humanity-eccentric media tell you what to think about zombies. A free mind is a tasty mind.
That was
wonderful. What a masterpiece of PR there.
Yeah, I like that.
That is.
I was hoping for
You
like
can do without meaning the bone through the nose line, but
Yeah.
I was hoping for like a PS. Is it possible that the people orchestrating this have been victims to Stubbs? Because it seems they are missing a brain.
That would have been, that would have fit right in there. Meanwhile, no one over at Monolith Productions who created F.E.A.R. understandably seemed to give enough of a shit about all these defamations to speak on it. Same with any other studio or publisher connected with those aforementioned titles on the warning list. Heck, even the ESRB stayed silent throughout the first few days of the controversy as well, at least until they were directly targeted. They did nothing wrong, nor were they threatened by the Institute or Halpin and his premeditated scheme to overthrow them or whatever.
I imagine, sorry to interject,
but
I imagine that like early to mid 2000s Rockstar just had like a weekly meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Where they were just like, all right, the minutes from last week, parents were upset again. Okay, this week they're still upset. Anyway, we have games to make, so who fucking cares? Like, they must have had, like, a weekly meeting.
Whose job do you think it was there to, like, answer the phones? Or just, like, did they have, like, a separate line that just didn't go anywhere? Or just a trash full of letters?
Yeah, they routed it to an empty office, and they just kept locked. Yeah. And this was before the...
This is right before
I was gonna say
Hot Coffee.
I was going to say this was before the Twitter brigade could just, could make it a big public outcry versus
where you,
just
where you could put everything on the cyberpunk yellow.
It almost seems like Hot Coffee was like a response to this. It's like, look, wait till these nerds see what we got cooking.
But then, on this is December 6th, 2005, NIMF put out their yearly report card and assigned the ESRB a failing F grade. This rightfully caused the organization to condemn their writings. They cited everything from inaccuracies to incomplete and misleading stats to omission of material facts. Tiny things like that.
Wait, doesn't F stand for family? Like family approved? Didn't they test?
A stands for asshole. Reversed.
Yeah.
They were pissed, basically. And it wasn't even the only occasion where they or other industry folks felt compelled to openly reject their bullcrap. The Institute, I mean. In 2003, Walsh proposed the coining of a neologism to fill what he saw as a gap in the English vocabulary.
I want to give this guy a neologism right in his fucking face.
His new word, you guys are going to love this. Kilographic.
Oh my
It's
god.
tight. Yo, let's make a
Wait,
studio
can I
name
make a
it that.
guess?
Yeah. Go
Is
for
it like pornographic but with kill?
Uh,
So have you heard of well, God, I forget his name, David something, the dude that trains cops?
Oh boy.
He has the only known expertise in killology.
What?
Oh my god.
But I mean,
God,
well,
I
he gave.
hate-
Did he give himself that?
Of course.
Well,
He also thinks ties look like dicks. So I hate
That's why he won't be wearing one.
yeah, I hate conservatives so much. All right, continue.
God.
Wow, it's like if you want to discredit a man in one sentence, well, what's wrong with that? He thinks ties look like dicks. All right, let's go find a new expert.
Sounds like he's wrestling with some stuff internally, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, definitely. He definitely is a big fan of the Richard Marchenko. The more homoerotic the insult, the better. You know,
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah, let's really nail it with the ball references,
Yeah.
the shaft references.
yeah.
Mhm.
He defined the word as, quote, graphic depiction of brutal violence. It was clearly intended to be analogous to the term pornographic, like you said, Austin. Not that anyone was buying it. The then head of the ESA, Doug Lowenstein, which I do believe came up on your episode, he described it as a clever phrase, but otherwise thought it was dumb, and that the average gamer was 28 and should be allowed to pick their entertainment.
I feel like Kilographic, it reminds me of like a black and white Grindhouse movie.
Yeah, it really does.
Or like, you know, it's like how they have Smell-O-Vision and like the bold letters says Kilographic.
Yeah, with the exclamation point like bent out. Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah,
I hate this guy, but I love that term.
Yeah,
I'm changing my gamer tag when I get
We
home.
should bring it back.
What happens when this small town is harassed by a serial killer? Kilographic.
Yeah, we're gonna change Hot Button's name's changed. We're now Killography Report.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that stupid debate quickly died, along with this one. If anything, the ESRB were probably hoping by not inserting themselves more that this would eventually go away. And it did. They continue to grant interactive works with their proper labels while the government fucks off. The artists responsible for the smut are still able to build what they want. Gamers get to play what they want. Families are left with the horrible burden of judging whether or not a product is appropriate for their household. And that their institute, well, they closed their doors in 2009, following the public's acceptance of the ESRB pinning Nymph for their shallow political program of consumer welfare.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it's like you said, it's like these things always seem to come and go in waves. It's like there's just a new wave of outrage, and if it gains enough of a platform, then people jump on it, and then, you know, you give it a couple years, people stop giving a shit, you know, they've moved on. So it's like,
Also, here's the interesting thing about this is something I forgot to bring up when we did our ESRB episode, is that the ESRB is out of the content rating associations. So RIAA, MPAA,
yeah.
mhm.
and then I guess the FCC is the one that does it for TV.
And radio, I guess. Yeah.
RIAA is radio.
I got you.
And then there's another one that branches off the RIAA that gives the parental advisory sticker. I forget their name, but
Yep.
the ESRB is far and away the least
Yes.
conservative of the content rating associations. So that's why if you're wondering why conservatives are always coming after video games and not movies, that's why. They don't like the ESRB because when we did our ESRB episode, it was very specifically, the ESA's target was very specifically to not have government regulation, which, by the way, conservatives fucking love when you don't leave stuff in the hands of the government. So I don't know why they hate this, but I do know why they hate this. It's because they don't have control. So the MPAA is not a government organization.
No.
It is like basically a Christian family organization.
Yes.
The RIAA is not a government organization. It is a Christian family organization.
That's why the ESRB's views are much more progressive and
the ESRB is not the best at what they do, but they are far and away better than the MPAA and the RIAA.
or
and
the alternative of not existing at all.
Yeah.
Like,
and the reason is because they are not a Christian family organization.
yeah.
They're a branch off of a lobbying group filled with people who aren't necessarily Christian conservatives.
Yeah.
So that's why, if you're wondering, that's why
They
conservatives
have a much more diverse team of raiders, and
that's why conservatives are always coming after the ESRB.
Yeah.
because the Christian family conservative groups don't have control over the ESRB. And that's why the games are always the devil and everything's and leading to the decline of Western civilization.
And
Continue.
listen,
Well said.
listen, say what you will about them closing their doors. I hear these guys run a mean Facebook group.
Well, here's the thing.
I bet you they run a lot of mean
Their,
groups.
their assets were transferred to the Search Institute, and Dr. Welsh went to pen 10 books on raising children and adolescents, one being a top seller. He also appeared on an abundance of talk shows, 60 Minutes, Dateline, Good Morning America, had 3 specials on PBS, and, get this, was in Hal's brother Spencer Halpin's own documentary titled Mortal Kombat, which now I gotta
We have
check
to
out.
watch
Yeah,
that,
I think I've heard of that.
Supposedly,
Yeah.
it features sit-downs with both sides of the discussion, including Game Informer's Andy McNamara, designer American McGee, and many say to the film's detriment, our favorite disbarred lawyer,
Jack Thompson.
Jack Thompson.
Oh
Hell
my
yeah.
goodness.
Andy
Yeah.
McNamara rules,
Yeah.
as does
Andy's the
American
man.
McGree.
To put a final nail in our outcry of cannibalism, however, Walsh was later interviewed on a podcast with Dennis McCauley, owner of GamePolitics.com, stating that the Stubbs fiasco was not his fault and that it was gamers who tricked him into thinking he was a cannibal and not just a zombie. He didn't care to explain the how or why of that.
I'm not taking responsibility
Okay,
for
so
this
like,
moron.
But
oh,
yeah.
so
Are you going to ask me the title of the game again? Because that's...
yeah. So let me just, everybody listening at home, if you can, pull up a window, and I want you to just pull up the box art for Stubbs the Zombie.
Yeah.
Look at the title of the game, which is called, by the way, Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse.
An extra pun on top.
And
just
also, I want you to look at Stubbs' character model and how his skin is bright green and his flesh is falling off. And tell me how this asshole,
Some artists at Wide Load, they're like, was this not obvious enough?
Wow.
the guy that, like, they must have seen that and been like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Man, he tried so desperately to just be like, all right, I got to save face a little bit.
Yeah, that was the best he
tricked,
came
and
up
it's
with?
Like, yeah, I was tricked. It's like, that makes you look like an even bigger idiot. How are
Yeah.
you tricked?
Also, why would gamers trick you?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
didn't
I guess to make, but
You
Was
didn't
he-
even vet your information. Like,
yes, no, well, that's it.
Yeah.
It's just like, if we're being serious here, then it's like, dude, you were lobbying to replace the ESRB, and you can't even vet a video game is about zombies when it's called Stubbs the Zombie. How were you planning on setting up your own rating board?
His name is Stubbs. For fuck's sake.
well, that's what I call my uncle. Common mistake.
Yeah.
anyway, the addition of human-on-human feasting in games were saved, and cannibalism would carry on to be in Fallout 3,
Hell yeah.
New Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
Prototype,
Mm-hmm.
Red Dead Redemption,
Mm-hmm.
Skyrim, Dark
Okay.
Souls, Telltale's The Walking Dead, GTA 5, and much, much more without blowback.
So
Happy Halloween, everyone.
so they kind of got into it, but let's just go.
Cannibalism lives on.
Zombie, for lack of a better term, zombieism is not cannibalism
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I
you
agree.
become
Right.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you're no longer human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you're not technically eating your own species. Also, it's not like zombies are like, I think I'll have
You can't even eat other zombies in
Yeah,
Stubbs the Zombie.
I think I'll have a human today. It's like a base instinct. That's
Yeah.
the whole point of
Yeah,
zombie
that's it.
fiction.
That's
Yeah.
it.
You're like-
Survive.
Yeah, you're like literally a half step away from saying like, well, does animals eating humans? Is that cannibalism? Is anything eating humans cannibalism then?
Hey,
It's like-
at least in F.E.A.R was the only one that did have a. Well, no, he was a human with powers.
Yeah.
Eating another human.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a
That's
lot of more
something.
of focus being put
I mean-
into F.E.A.R because he's
Yeah.
just like this stark raving mad person, like killing a guy
Yeah.
in cold blood and then like eating him. Like that makes
Don't-
sense.
Yeah.
Don't
Make that the focal point.
Don't even get me started on Christian mythology and how cannibalism is used in like to symbolize like demonic presence because demons eat humans, and like fear is clearly about a demonic fucking presence.
Yeah, I don't see anybody going.
Conservatives are stupid.
Maybe we should ban Francisco Goya's Saturn devouring his child. That's literally a giant dude like peeling off the flesh like it's
that painting is haunting.
No, it is. It's terrifying, but it's like, oh, no one's going after that. That's cannibalism, unless
No,
you count
that's 'cause-
gods. Not.
That's because that's not for kids. Even though video games aren't for kids, it's like kids don't show an interest in Saturn devouring his child, but they show interest in Stubbs the zombie. So I guess we have to go
I
after
wonder
that.
why.
I think.
Oh, also, last note I have here, and this came up at 2 days ago. That Stubbs the Zombie is free on the Epic Store until October 21st. So
Yeah, I downloaded it. I'm gonna play it
gotta
again.
know.
I love
Yeah, I
that game.
downloaded it today.
That
I don't know
game
when the
rules.
fuck that special edition thing
Wait, hold
is
on.
coming out.
Yeah,
if
bad
ever.
news to all
It's
the
okay, so
listeners because
some-
there's no way you're hearing
Want that
this in time.
vinyl?
No, hold on. So it's the 17th. 18th is Monday. 19th, 20. Okay, so this episode comes out on Wednesday.
Yeah.
If you were
Act fast,
if you were
folks.
listening to it on the day it comes out
Yeah.
or the day after, well, no, actually, because the day it comes out, download Stubbs. It rules if you haven't
Yeah.
already.
Also, play Fear.
Yeah, Fear's great.
Yeah.
Funny little anecdote about
The
Fear.
console version's less so, but
Yeah, I actually
1 and 2. but-
funny anecdote about Fear. It was one of the very first PC games I got.
It was
when
beefy.
Same.
when I got my first PC when I was like a teenager, like my first real PC.
No, we're all sharing the exact same story. That was like when my first
Yeah,
computer
I
that was
went to-
not like a not family computer. That was mine. Fear
Yeah,
was, like,
I
the
went
first
to
game.
like a convention, and I built my first computer
Mm-hmm.
in 2005. That was my computer, not the family
Right,
computer.
same.
Yeah.
And the first game I downloaded on it was Fear.
I downloaded the demo because apparently.
Oh yeah, no, I downloaded the demo.
There was a
and then
single player demo and a multiplayer demo, and people were using them as benchmarks. This is pre-crisis, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was like once I saw that what I had could handle it, I was like, I need this fucking game.
I haven't never played Fear because the demo didn't run too well, and then the 360 version also didn't run too
Yeah,
well.
the
so-
360 version.
You know what
wasn't.
that game was for me actually? Because so I didn't build my own computer until 2013 because I got a laptop when
Yeah.
I went to Stevens.
Right.
But the game that I played when I first built it was Crisis because that game had
Okay,
stuck
yeah.
with me as like the game that'll you know.
See, Austin, I thought you were gonna say because it was scary, and it's like playing that game with headphones on, like an inch away from
Oh,
your
yeah.
monitor. It's effect.
Yes, also,
2
I'm a-
is also great, except for that ending. But and then 3, me and you co-op together,
Yep.
which is just an action game.
Three-
Yes.
It's,
Yeah, I'm also a pussy, so I didn't play Fear because it's too scary. But
that and Condemned. That studio was killing
F.E.A.R.
it.
is great.
The Threer?
F.E.A.R. is great.
F.E.A.R.
No.
Listen,
Yeah,
they're
the
doing
co-
anything.
It's
The
okay.
co-op. I'm a
The
big-
co-op is fun.
Cool logo.
Yeah.
Listen.
It's-
Listen, Mr. Resident Evil 6 is not that bad. I agree with you,
all right.
but there's something to like the horror franchises of the early 2000s
Yeah, your Dead
that
Spaces.
transitioned into co-op action games.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 5 is like the worst
That,
one.
yeah, no, you're right.
Because Fear 3 is not scary, but it is a fun action game, as is Resident Evil 6, as is Dead Space 3.
Agreed.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
things considered, Fear 3 was
We
actually
had
pretty fun.
we had a good time.
Also,
Yeah,
a lot of cannibalism in all those games.
Yeah.
Could you
that's how
imagine if these people were around when Dead Space came out?
Oh,
Those are not zombies. What the fuck are they?
What-
But they're eating humans.
Yo, one shot from 2 of the needle going into the eye, and people just start throwing up in the audience.
Oh,
Yeah.
funny little addition to my previous story about Fear being one of the first games I owned on my own PC.
Oh, yeah.
World of Warcraft was also one of the first games, the vanilla.
You didn't
classic.
need as powerful as a computer for that.
The undead race
Yeah.
in that game has a racial ability where you cannibalize a
Oh,
corpse
shit, I forgot
to
that on my
recharge
list.
your health.
It is,
Wow, I
yeah.
just thought of that when we were
That's
talking about
good.
this.
That's a good way to go out, because that actually mechanically ties into the game.
You're right.
Actually, yeah, it's Devour.
Yeah.
Yeah, you devour, and once you kill someone, you
Like
can
the
devour.
Shinedown song.
Pretty-
Remember that?
Why'd you ruin
Oh,
it?
That's what I do. I'm a ruiner, dude.
Well,
Another good game, Ruiner.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ruiner's awesome.
Yeah, lots of cannibalism.
No.
All right.
It's too
Not
cyberpunk
enough,
for
actually.
that.
Some
Not
plugs.
enough.
I'm trying to think. It's just like this has got to be the only time we'll ever talk because there's not cannibalism in games really at all, unless like it's like notorious for it. But there's no games notorious for it at all.
No, that's why they needed a hot bullet point, man. That's
No,
why
you
they
guys
said
served
it.
your purpose because you brought up Saturn devouring his child, which is why I wanted you here. And you brought up WoW, which is why I wanted you here.
Nice.
I thought
Hit
you were
my
gonna
quota.
say after. I think gonna say after I have no mouth because we got to talk about cannibalism 2 weeks in a row. Less so in that, but it was just like that's why this will probably be the
You know what?
the
That's a
closure
good-
of that book for the show.
You know what? I just realized he's right. Wheelie just covered a game that, well, not features cannibalism in the game,
Not
but
explicitly, but it's a
but
element
it's
of
me-
that.
it's
Heavily
a-
implied.
Yeah.
it's a plot element.
Yeah.
But then
All
again,
right.
nobody probably played that game, so
Well,
yeah.
thank you guys for coming.
Yes.
I'm going to
Always
end.
a fun time.
I'm going to stick around after the credits. I'm going to end with a Stubbs the Zombie song because I have to. But yeah, thanks for listening. We mentioned a whole bunch of episodes. You can go back and listen to those on the ESA, the ESRB.
Both
The-
are parts of I Have No
I Have No
Are
Mouth.
out.
I
Great
Have No
episodes,
Mouth,
by the
the way.
Thank you.
The start of our
Thank Matt.
I Have No Mouth, the start of our 2021 Halloween Spooktacular.
Yeah.
Which we also have one from 2019 and 2020. So we're coming up on 12 Halloween-themed episodes.
Holy shit.
If you want to go
Wow.
listen to some spooky shit, since it's the month of October right now.
Yeah.
Download Stubbs if you're hearing this and it's still free.
Yes.
But you can listen to our podcast.
Play everything on
all
that.
these episodes.
Play everything on that list they put out. It's
It's all great,
Yeah.
Hotbuttoncast.com is our website. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever the fuck else you listen to podcasts. And
come back next week for one last
yeah, and follow our social media
episode for the year.
on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at HotButtonCast. Keep an eye out for other Halloween-themed episodes coming in October. Anniversary shit coming in November, and Game of the Year shit coming in December.
Oh fuck!
But thank you.
So much to do.
Yeah. You now actually with this you'll actually now have the 12 episodes of Nilfmas. Because he got 12 Halloween episodes.
Did you say MILF?
Nil.
Nilfmas, yeah, Nilf.
No. Yeah, I guess.
No. The 12 games of Milfmas are a much different thing.
We
You ready?
can't end on that,
You
and
ready?
yet, and yet we
Wait,
are.
no. I'm going to end on this very off-color joke. We did the opposite of MILFmas. We did a guy game episode.
Oh, I am not high-fiving you.
Good night.
Good night.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Call my baby lollipop, tell you why. Her kiss is sweeter than apple pie. And when she does a shaky rockin' dance, man, I haven't got a chance. I call her lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Sweeter than candy on a stick, huckleberry, cherry, or lime. If you had a choice, she'd be your pick, but lollipop is mine. Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Crazy way she thrills me, tell you why. Just like a lightning from the sky, she loves to kiss me till I can't see straight. Gee, my lollipop is great. I call her lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop.